Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Happy Equal Rights Amendment Day here in Washington, D.C. Shout out to D.C. Mayor Bowser for establishing today, December 10th, as Equal Rights Amendment Day in our nation's capital. I want to start by first thanking all of our advocacy groups here today. They're here always, over and over again, with their tireless commitment to the ERA and to educating those of us in Congress as well as the people at large. And so I just want to say thank you for all that you do, all of the different groups. There's so many up here. Thank you, and just know that I absolutely adore you all. I also want to thank the members of Congress who are standing up here with me today, and for those that are on their way, Congresswoman Tlaib, McClellan, Balint, and Chu, who have made the decision that this is a priority and that they're willing to put their name, their time, and their talent on the line to make this happen. I appreciate every single one of you, and thank you for your fight. And thank you to the members of the press and the folks who are here who showed up in support of the Equal Rights Amendment, and to urge President Biden that the time to certify and publish the Equal Rights Amendment is now. So this is what we know. Donald Trump is about to take office again. This is a man who has been openly hostile to women, reproductive freedoms, our LGBTQIA plus community, black and brown people, and so many others. A man who has made clear that as president, he hopes to strip us of our reproductive rights, further restrict access to abortion, and roll back gender-affirming care. For months, President Biden and Democrats warned of the threat posed by Donald Trump on our bodily autonomy and on our democracy. A threat that is about to become reality very soon. President Biden has the power to do something about this. He has the ERA. The ERA is one sentence that has the power to protect our future. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That's it. That's the line, just 24 words. This is what we have been fighting to get across the finish line and into the Constitution for over 100 years. This is a movement that is multi-generational, multiracial, and guarantees the rights of all people in our country once and for all, because equality is overdue. And to be clear, the ERA has met all of the Article 5 requirements to be part of the United States Constitution, and yet still has not been officially published as the 28th Amendment. Today, 78% of Americans believe the ERA should be a part of our Constitution. In fact, on this day, 100 years ago, the Equal Rights Amendment was first introduced in Congress, where it was passed with near unilateral support across party lines. In 1923, equal rights were popular. And today, at least in a lot of ways, but not in all the ways. And today, 2024, equal rights still remain popular. The publication of the Equal Rights Amendment may be long overdue, but the stakes for gender equality have never been higher. Just last week, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments for a case that could unilaterally ban gender-affirming care for transgender children. That same case could exclude protections against sex discrimination from the 14th Amendment. And, of course, we saw that same court strip federal protections for abortion just a few years before. We need the ERA now. Our bodies, our rights, our lives are on the line. While progress has been made in enacting laws that prohibit discrimination based on sex, equal rights are still not constitutionally protected. This gap leaves women, especially black and brown women, disproportionately vulnerable to sex discrimination at alarming levels. Our current laws do not fully safeguard me or others in my community who are more likely to face discrimination in various aspects of life. The reality is that white women have historically been the primary beneficiaries of existing sex equality laws. These laws, as they stand, have left so many behind. The Equal Rights Amendment would guarantee sex equality for all meaning all. Black women and LGBTQIA people have always been on the front lines of the fight for constitutional equality and have the most to gain from finalizing the ERA, although oftentimes those names are not spoken about or taught. The ERA would fill gaps in existing policy and bolster the laws we already have on the books, protecting us from discrimination in education, in healthcare, and in housing. The ERA's power is tangible. It would address the gender pay gap, sexual harassment, domestic violence, and even food insecurity. That's right. To say that the publication of the ERA would be transformative is not hyperbole. It's a fact. State ERAs, like in New Mexico and Pennsylvania, have struck down attempted state bans on abortion access, secured protections for women in the workforce, and ensured equal treatment in education and healthcare. A national ERA would be the tool we need to fight against MAGA extremism. That's right. Lastly, to President Biden, take action now. Yeah. Take action now. You have a few days left. And we all can say that equal rights are popular, and we can say that equal rights are essential, but we have to show that equal rights are popular. Let's show that equal rights are essential, and most importantly, that equal rights are human rights. You have the opportunity, President Biden, to make equal rights a defining part of your legacy. All it takes is your signature. That's right. I can't sign it. We can't sign it. Only you can make this happen. With just a stroke of your pen, you can protect so many people today. President Biden, you must take action and take it now. That's right. ERA now.
Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words.
Next, I'm going to call up to the podium Congresswoman Judy Chu of California.
Well, thank you, Congressmember Cori Bush, for your incredible leadership of the Equal Rights Amendment Caucus. And I'm Congressmember Judy Chu of California's 28th District. I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues in calling on President Biden to recognize the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. Yes. You know, I remember in the 1970s marching as a student for the Equal Rights Amendment. I can't believe that decades later, we still don't have the ERA instituted into our Constitution. And it's time to make this happen. The ERA would finally guarantee equal rights under law for all people in this country, regardless of sex. This is essential because we know that all genders are not treated equally today. The right to vote was extended to us a century ago, but women still face injustices like pregnancy discrimination and disproportionate rates of sexual violence. We are still paid less than men for the same work. LGBTQ plus people still continue to face disproportionate levels of discrimination and bias that can limit access to employment, healthcare, stable housing, and so much more. And women across the country face forced birth in over 20 states and relentless attacks on our reproductive freedom as right-wing politicians seek to deny us the right to make decisions about our own bodies. But because the U.S. Constitution currently contains no explicit protection for individuals against gender and sex-based discrimination, it's oftentimes too difficult to fight back against these types of discrimination and unequal treatment in the courts. And that's why we have to enshrine in our Constitution equal rights for all people, regardless of gender. Already, 38 states have ratified the ERA, and the vast majority of Americans support it. And that's why I stand with my colleagues today to call on President Biden to recognize the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution and direct the Archivist of the U.S. to certify and publish it, finally affirming once and for all the equality of all people under the law in America. And now, I would like to call on Rosie Couture of the Young Feminist Party.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Chu, for being here today and for marching for the ERA when you're a student. I'm a student. My name is Rosie Couture. I'm a 20-year-old junior in college who's actually in the middle of finals. But I am here today before you as one of the co-founders and executive directors of the Young Feminist Party. We are a movement of thousands of young people across the country organizing our schools and our communities for the Equal Rights Amendment. I am proud and grateful to be standing here today, shoulder to shoulder with ERA champion Congresswoman Cori Bush, all of our other incredible congressional champions here today, and leaders in the movement for constitutional sex equality, and we demand the ERA now.
That's right.
Young people have organized throughout Biden's presidency to defend and expand reproductive freedom, LGBTQ+ rights, protections for survivors, and more. We've walked out of class. We've shut down streets. We've held die-ins in Congress. We have been in the halls of power, in our communities, and in our classrooms, fighting tooth and nail against our administrators, the courts, state legislatures, and our so-called representatives who attack our identities, our bodily autonomy and dignity as they strip us of our rights. But we have to fight, because the U.S. Constitution doesn't protect us. The U.S. Constitution doesn't protect the millions of young women, queer, and trans folks who lived through our rights getting rolled back these past 4 years on President Biden's watch.
That's right.
We are living in the post-Roe era where abortion care is criminalized and abortion bans are killing women like Candy Miller and Amber Thurman. We are living through hundreds of anti-LGBTQ+ bills sweeping state legislatures. We are living and fighting through the consequences of our exclusion from our democracy's most foundational document. President Biden, we shouldn't have to fight so hard. You've promised the young people of America you would fight for us and fight for our futures. You promised us to defend our reproductive freedom. You promised us to protect our access to gender-affirming health care and safe schools. You promised to protect us against gender-based violence. Yet you remain the one person standing in between the young people, the young women and queer people of America, and our inclusion in the United States Constitution. My inclusion in the United States Constitution. I may have only been alive for 20 years of this over a century-long struggle, but I know our equality is long overdue. As we stare down a second Trump presidency, the urgency and necessity of the Equal Rights Amendment is clear. It isn't too late to step up. It isn't too late to defend our futures. President Biden, the young women and LGBTQ+ people in America demand you put us in the Constitution.
Hear, hear.
And I am so proud to introduce Congresswoman McClellan, who led the fight from my home state of Virginia to make Virginia the 38th and final state needed for the Equal Rights Amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosie. If you need extra credit on your exams, let me know. It is a pleasure to be here this morning on ERA Day. Stand before you as the first black woman elected from the Commonwealth of Virginia. And those of you that know me, you know I'm the history nerd of the group. So let me walk you down a little bit of history. When this country was founded in Virginia in 1619, it was the birthplace of American democracy when within the House of Burgess, the oldest continuing legislature in the Western Hemisphere, was founded. A month later, the first recorded Africans were brought on our shores and traded as property. A few months later, women were recruited to the colonies as wives with no rights. 274 years ago, Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence that all men were created equal and endowed with their Creator with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He did not mean me.
No.
He did not mean the people you see standing behind me.
That's right.
He did not mean women, and he did not mean black people or indigenous people. It's been 176 years since the first Seneca Falls Convention, where Elizabeth Cady Stanton wrote women into the sequel in the Declaration of Sentiments when she said all men and women are created equal. And it was 156 years ago when the 14th Amendment promised equal protection under the law and for the first time put gender in the Constitution explicitly for men. 101 years ago, the sequel to the 14th Amendment was introduced. And we still stand here fighting for our equality. Since our nation's inception, brave men and women have been fighting to ensure that the promises upon which this country were founded are true for all. It's been a fight propelled by abolitionists, the civil rights movement, the suffrage movement, the women's rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, the LGBTQ plus movement from the very beginning. It included women of color on the front lines, even though we were told to march in the back. And even though we've been the last to benefit from every social justice movement. But I was proud to do my part as part of a multi-generational coalition of black women to make Virginia the 38th and final state needed to ratify the ERA 4 years ago. In the birthplace of American democracy and the birthplace of American slavery, we again took a leadership role. And the states have done their part. No arbitrary deadline should stand in the way of finally enshrining gender equality into the law. And that is why we are here today. We urge President Biden to heed the fierce urgency of now and to compel the archivists of the Capitol to publish the ERA as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. It is absurd that 101 years later, we are still fighting the same fights as our mothers, our grandmothers, and our great-grandmothers. Right. We will continue to fight if necessary so that our daughters don't have to. But we've done the work. It is time for the ERA to be published. And now I'd like to introduce Zakiya Thomas, president of the ERA Coalition.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Zakiya Thomas, President and CEO of the ERA Coalition. We have over 300 partner organizations representing 80 million people around the country, all working towards equality. And today we're here for one purpose, and that's to tell President Biden to get the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution.
That's right.
It's been over 100 years since we've had this promise of a better future for all of us. And so today we are here because we need to see that promise realized. We know what's coming over the next 2 to 4 years. We have advocates here behind us who are standing up and will hold the line against those who would push back against equality. But I'm calling on Republicans, I'm calling on independents, and I'm calling on Democrats to do what we need to do to get the Equal Rights Amendment not only in the Constitution, but affirmed so that everyone in this country knows there's no doubt that we are all equal in this country under the law. So we will not stop. We will hold the line and we will advance it as much as we can in the time that we have. But do not worry about the folks here. We will be strong and we'll stand here and protect all of us, because if we don't, we know what will come. That's right. So all of us need to come together across this great country of ours. And before I end, I do want to thank our champion here, Representative Cori Bush, and her partner in crime, as they like to say, Representative Ayanna Pressley, for leading the ERA caucus, and for all of the members who are here to support us in this effort, because we will not stop. And we will need all of you to come with us as we take that great leap forward to a new future for this country. Thank you.
Yeah.
And next.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
And now I would like to introduce Congresswoman Becca Belaint.
I'm Congresswoman Becca Balint. I represent Vermont. And as so many of the people here have said already, this is a fight that's gone on for over a century. And we can't afford to wait any longer for this. Now, equality should not be controversial, right? It should not be controversial. And yet somehow it is. And why is that? It's controversial because there are people in this country who do not believe that everybody is entitled to the same inherent dignity. That's what it comes down to. That they believe there are some people who are worthy and there are some people who are not worthy. Whether we're talking about women, whether we're talking about people of color, whether we're talking about the queer or trans community. That's what this is about. And when I think about what our constituents want, what Americans want, what they want is for us, when we have power, to use it for good. Yes. And President Biden has power. He has the ability right now, to make a change in the lives of millions of people across this country. When people get discouraged, and I was a former social studies teacher, okay? When people get discouraged, they get discouraged because they see people in positions of power who have the ability to make change not take that power. There is no downside for President Biden to accept that it is ready. This time is now for us to finally publish the ERA and guarantee that all of us are entitled to the same rights and the same inherent dignity. What is so frustrating for our people back home is they say, why don't you use your power when you have it? We have it, we must use it, and we must realize that only then will people have faith in government. Only then will people have faith in their elected officials. So that's why I'm out here today, to say let's use our power when we have it for good. President Biden, do the right thing. This is not controversial. Let's get it done. And now it is my great pleasure to announce Nicole Verassi Bates from Shattering Glass.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Verassi Bates, the founder and executive director of Shattering Glass. And for the last 3.5 years, I've been one of the organizations leading the push for President Biden to publish the Equal Rights Amendment as the 28th Amendment. And I want to start by thanking Congresswoman Bush for her courageous leadership and unwavering dedication to ERA publication. There wasn't a topic you talked about that you didn't appropriately bring in the Equal Rights Amendment. Whether it was abortions, well, we need the ERA. Whether it's LGBTQIA plus rights, we need the ERA. You modernized the Equal Rights Amendment. You brought it into modern times and inspired the youth in all of us, and for that we will forever be grateful to you. And we wouldn't be here today without Congresswoman Bush at this critical moment. And she alluded to the critical moment that we're in right now. And I can literally take this piece of paper and throw it away because you said everything that needed to be said. But the Supreme Court warned us last week. We keep saying we're not going back. Well, we know we have gone back. And last week, the Supreme Court made crystal clear in U.S. versus Scrimetti at oral argument that in June, we will be going back to a time when more than half of the population doesn't have 14th Amendment equal protection. Women, girls, and LGBTQIA plus people will soon lose equal protection. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have the Equal Rights Amendment now. We need the president to publish the Equal Rights Amendment. That will give us the tool we need to stop SCOTUS, to stop Project 2025, to stop all of the horrors that we are going to encounter, including what's going to happen to Title IX very soon. This is why you're hearing a growing call for ERA publication. Calls from all walks of life, Republicans, Democrats, all races, genders, religions. People are begging for the president to take action and finally put the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution. There's currently an alliance of organizations of all different kinds: democracy, gender justice, racial justice, professional associations, medical associations, coming together in the push. But we need your help. We need you all to help us get this over the finish line, and we don't have a lot of time. Again, I want to thank our elected officials here who have been beyond courageous. And at this moment, thank you for getting us here. It has been an honor and a privilege to work with you. Thank you. Oh, sorry. And next we have Sophia Arman.
How's everybody doing today?
Yeah!
I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Are we feeling good?
Yeah!
That's right. My name is Sophia Arman. I'm a young Middle Eastern American organizer and have the honor of being the co-director of the Feminist Front, a youth of color-led organization organizing thousands of young people for gender, racial, and queer justice. With our partners, Young Feminist Party, we have launched the ERA Now campaign and movement and are mobilizing millions right now nationwide in the fight for gender equality.
Yeah!
I'm proud to stand with Congresswoman Cori Bush, the People's Champion, urging President Biden to direct the archivist to certify and publish the ERA today. We need you, Biden, to take action right now. I want to be very real. I came of age in the immediate post-9/11 United States, where I felt the other part of my identity, my community's civil rights, slowly, and sometimes not so slowly, peeled away, normalized as if nothing was happening by the people around me, by headlines and press and politicians. I also want to be real. I came of age when a young misogynist committed a mass shooting at my university, UCSB, and killed many of my classmates. I have seen the devastation against marginalized people when we let violence happen, when we let our rights be rolled back. I have seen sometimes what happens in crises. Our policymakers or people freeze. They turn on each other. But I have also known what happens when we are brave, when our communities organize, when we care for each other, and our politicians act for the people. They step up. And most importantly, in every moment of crisis, we see women who step up, like the women here behind me. Let's give it up for them. So today we are stepping up. We are stepping up as millions of Americans to look you directly in the eye, President Biden. President Biden, it is your turn to step up. This is our generation's feminist movement. We're young, but we're not dumb. We know what is on the line, and that's why we know we need equal rights amendment now.
Yes!
My generation is facing unique challenges, I will not lie. Women and LGBTQ people are facing unique hurdles and struggles. Mass student debt, gun violence, climate crisis, and escalating war. These, and in every case, women and queer people feel most. Our generation is facing uncertainty. When Dobbs came down, I want to be real, the Young Feminist Party and the Feminist Front, we organized buses, students, millions of young people across this country. We bused in people to Arizona, modeled off of Freedom Summer, and were led and learned from people on the ground in Arizona, women of color, immigrants, BIPOC folks who had most at stake in this fight. We built and saw what reproductive justice could be. And now Trump is coming. He's threatening a national abortion ban to turn what happened in Arizona nationwide. So we know that we come here today not as ourselves. We come here today for so many others. We come here in the name of Candy Miller, Jocelyn Barnica, Amber Nicole Thurman, Portia Nugemzi, who just recently we learned died. These women, these human beings did not have to die. These, we know, are the stakes of this fight in the ERA. This is who we are fighting for. This is who we come for today, to you, Biden. Project 2025 let us know. We know the ERA for everyone living under an abortion ban means that they will have protection. For every young trans or queer kid being bullied by their state and facing gender-affirming care bans. For every woman paid less than their coworkers who are men. For every survivor who not only had to go through the trauma of sexual violence, but then experienced re-trauma in our criminal justice system. We know that the ERA is to block even the extremist MAGA Republicans in Congress who are even coming against our damn right to contraception right now, y'all. They've told us they're coming after our very basic rights that women fought for generations. So let's be clear. They're coming for our lives, our rights, and bodies. Make no mistake. We stand here today united in our call. President Biden, take up the immediate, bold, and decisive action. Certify and publish the ERA. 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 Absolutely. On this, 101 years ago, the Equal Rights Amendment was introduced to Congress, where it was passed unilaterally across party lines. We don't have a moment to waste. I want to leave us with this. President Biden, hear our generation. Let's get it done. But most importantly, to millions of women across this country who cut through every type of identity. We are white, black, brown. We are straight, gay, trans. We are poor and rich. I want to make this very clear to you. We are born free.
That's right.
We are born free with our freedom and dignity. It's finally time for the U.S. Constitution to reflect that. Biden, give us ERA now. ERA now!
ERA now!
ERA now! ERA now! All right, thank you all so much. I want to invite up our other people's champion here, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate Sophia hyping me up. And Betty, is that your name? I love you. I was the head of my pep club, and you are just getting us going. Thank you so much for your incredible years of your work on ERA. Thank you so much. Thank you, of course, to my sisters in service, Cori Bush and Congresswoman Presley, for their incredible leadership on this issue, and all of my colleagues in the ERA caucus. On this ERA Advocacy Day, I'm proud to be in solidarity with all of you to advance and publish the Equal Rights Amendment. We know the ERA will help eliminate the gender pay gap, increase access to health care, and prevent gender discrimination in the workplace. However, as my colleague Cori Bush reminds us, it also saves lives. We are here today because we are just one signature. Hey, Joe. Yeah. One signature away from making the ERA the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. President Biden must direct the archivist to certify and publish the ERA now and cement constitutional gender equality. Becca's right. You know, many of us right now don't understand the power that he has to completely transform, again, our country with this one signature to protect many of us here. We are just over 1 month away. Not a reminder goes by every day of knowing what is coming to take power in Washington, D.C. and pushing policies that are openly hostile to our LGBTQ plus people, our bodies, abortion access. It is going to be painful. And right now, the people that can actually do it, President Biden, the signature that he has right now to change that, it is needed to understand who he's protecting by that one signature. The ERA cannot wait any longer. And I have a 19-year-old son who continues to remind me of this over and over again. So you're doing your jobs right. He does. Yes. President Biden must direct the archivist again to finalize this amendment. Thank you again to the incredible advocates. You have never given up. Ever. You inspire many of us in the United States Congress that is speaking the truth about the importance of ratifying the ERA, but again, importance to understanding the power that we have and how we can push, again, the President of the United States to do what's right. So, hey, Joe, we need your signature. Thank you so much. With that, I think I have Alexandria Flores with Quilty. Is that it? Quilty Free Speech for the People.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am so honored to be here this morning with all these incredible freedom fighters and want to honor all the freedom fighters who have gotten us to this moment. The Equal Rights Amendment is the only constitutional amendment that has ever been proposed that has met all the requirements. Let that sit in. So why are we here? And I think it's important to remember the reason that why we are here and the Equal Rights Amendment is not yet published into the Constitution is because of Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was in office, his lawyers used false excuses to block the Equal Rights Amendment. That is why we are here.
That's right.
But today and for the next 41 days, Donald Trump is not the President of the United States. Joe Biden is the President of the United States. Joe Biden is the President of the United States. He has the authority, the responsibility, and the opportunity to publish the Equal Rights Amendment. He has the ability to have a legacy that he was the president that published the Equal Rights Amendment and made it the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. What a legacy that could be. So we're calling on President Biden to use his authority to publish the Equal Rights Amendment. There are deadly consequences to the ERA not yet being in the Constitution. We know what lies ahead in the next Trump administration. And he has the authority and the ability to protect the majority, all Americans, from sex and gender-based violence. We have a powerful movement and coalition that has been working tirelessly for decades to ensure equal rights for all. And right now, we are in the final stretch. We have the ability to finally bring this home. In the coming weeks, it's not only just on President Biden, it's on all of us. Every single American across the country to call on the president and for our democracy to say that all are equal under the law. So I call on everyone to do everything that they can. Write to President Biden, text, call. You can go to bidenpublishtheera.org, and there are many ways that you can take action. Let us publish the ERA now. And with that, also, by the way, I'm Alexandra Flores Quilty. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I got all jazzed up with all the freedom fighters up here. I'm the campaign director at Free Speech for People, and we are honored to be in this fight. And again, want to thank Congresswoman Bush in particular for her incredible leadership in modernizing the Equal Rights Amendment for this particular moment. And with that, I would love to invite Kate Kelly from Center for American Progress. Yes, Kate Kelly. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. As you can tell, we're all obsessed with Cori Bush. But the reason that we are so proud of her for her vision and courage is because she can see a future. She can see a future where we are all equal. She can see a future where we are in the Constitution. And Cori Bush does not solely talk the talk, she walks the walk. Which other member of Congress has nearly all women staff? Women chief of staff, woman district director, woman, everyone in her comms shop, woman legislative director, Carla, Lanice, Marina, Claire. All of these women are the people who put this press conference together today. Cori Bush is the leader, and behind her are women. We are behind her because she is a woman of vision and courage. She has modernized the ERA. She has helped us understand what it is, not only what it has been in the past, but what it can be in the future. And that's what we need for the Equal Rights Amendment. It has existed for over 100 years, and every single one of those 100 years, people who oppose equality have put procedural barriers in the way. They have put procedural hurdles. They've tried to attach a deadline. They've tried to say it's too late. They've tried to say not enough states accomplished the ratification. None of these things are true, but they will constantly and continually put those procedural hurdles in the way so that we can't see ourselves reflected in the Constitution. The good thing about a hurdle is you can jump over a hurdle. So what we need to do is put our best arguments forward. I'm a lawyer. I've worked on the ERA for over a decade. We have the better legal arguments. We need to put those forward. We need to be brave. President Biden just needs to show the vision and courage that Cori Bush has demonstrated to us. Instead of putting procedural hurdles in the way, instead of kowtowing to the far right who doesn't want to see us in the Constitution, we need to fight back. Imagine if the other side, imagine if those who oppose equality were one signature away from changing the Constitution. What would they do? You know, Ted Cruz would be doing a die-in in the Senate floor. They would block every single highway into D.C. They would leave no stone unturned. They would get themselves into the Constitution, and that's what we have to do. This is the most important thing that any person can work on. It will outlive every single person on the Supreme Court. It will outlive every single member of Congress. It will outlive every person living today. It's a permanent amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It will help us in 5 years. It will help us in 50 years. It will help us in 100 years. It will always be here to protect people, to build the infrastructure for equality in this country, and we cannot wait.
Hear, hear. Thanks for closing us out. Well, that's a great way to close us out. All right. Well, thank you again to all of our advocates. Again, I just can't thank you all enough. There's no way to thank you all enough other than us getting this done. Thank you all for continuing to show up. Yes, yes. I love you back more than you know, more than I can express.